Hey guys, it's Sean Zine. I wanted to introduce. We're doing changing it up today. I having a different hat. Literally, I'm wearing the same hat, but a different hat as far as what we're going to discuss today. And for a union, for schools, for retirement plans, etc. These are things that are important, especially you guys are watching. Those are the teachers. And I actually have to make sure I change the privacy on us here, but I wanted to bring Eric Lindstrom. Eric, can you give us a little introduction of who you are?
Sure. I'm an independent financial advisor, former educator, taught for 16 years. Actually launched economics in the Patterson Public Schools. It's kind of a little bit of my background. Before I taught, I used to work for John Hancock and MetLife. Left the financial world, got into teaching. Really had a strong passion to help and educate our children of the country, and just had a little pull in my stomach that said, you know what, I think it was time to kind of go back into the financial world and spend a lot of my time helping educators. I was a former union delegate. I was also on the executive board in Patterson. So, from a teaching perspective, from a union perspective, I kind of understand a lot of the challenges that they're facing. So I spend a lot of my time in that marketplace. It's not 100% of my time, but it's certainly a good portion. I do have private clients as well, but I've been doing this for a number of years now, and we've really been growing in the state of New Jersey. The program itself is the NEA retirement program. That's the program that I represent in multiple districts, including yours. Security benefits, the financial firm behind the program. They offer a multitude of different products inside of 403B, which were a little bit different than some other companies. And one of the things that's really been a big, I guess, passion of mine is just to work with educators, help them understand what's going on, help them work through the process of a retirement plan rather than a retirement product. Help them understand what their pension looks like. I mean, there's a lot of talk about pensions right now, with everything going on. Is there going to be enough money to pay pensions? What's going to come out on the back end of all the stuff that we're dealing with now? The financial crisis that we're dealing with a lot of people losing their jobs. Who knows what kind of safety net's going to be behind that? So, having educators kind of understand that, the pension, yes, it's there currently, but if they do make some changes, and they have over the last 15, 20 years, how is that going to impact you and your family?
No, it's definitely important. And some of the things that Eric shared with me in the past opened my eyes. And one big example is what we're going to discuss today with his MBOSS. And it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
I actually checked my MBOSS, and my beneficiaries was my ex-wife. That would have been a major problem for me.
Yeah, you could say that.
Going forward. So it was something I needed to make sure, and I want to preach and make sure that those that are out there need to listen and follow some of the easy things to confirm what you currently have. Because people become a teacher, they sign up for things, and then they don't really check on anything. And that's not a good thing. Is if this is for your future, and it's pension, and it's retirement, you got to make sure you know what's going on.
That's the most common thing that I find, Sean, is that people, as a former educator, you walk in the door and you really you don't even know where to start half the time. You got a class of 30 kids, 25 kids in your room, and you multiply that 5 times, and all of a sudden you're trying to do lesson plans and make tests and quizzes and just trying to understand the entire structure of your building. And then all of a sudden you walk into a faculty lounge and there's some guy standing there with a suit on and says, do you want a 403B? And that's always what happens. That's how this marketplace has really been for 30 years. And one of the things that we're doing that's very different is we're doing a lot of things like this. We're trying to speak directly to the member, helping them understand what a 403B is, what your pension is, how it all works together, rather than just sign somebody up. And that was the one thing that I did. I mean, you sign up and you don't even know what you have. You don't know the ins and outs of a product. You don't know the cost. You don't know the quality. And all of a sudden you go 10 years later and you haven't even looked at it. And maybe you talked to the guy you signed up with, twice in that 10-year period of time. And your beneficiaries could be changed, right? A lot of educators, they start for 22, 23 years old, and who you living with? You living with mom and dad. And now all of a sudden you're 35 with 2 kids and a mortgage, and mom and dad are still your beneficiaries. Or in your situation, you had your ex-wife as your beneficiary. I mean, that happens. It happens all the time. People laugh and don't think it's going to happen, but I see it every single day. I see a problem with a beneficiary. So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on today.
Here's a question, and we appreciate Carla. Who is allowed to be your beneficiary?
That's a good question. There are some things you have to look at. So in the pension system itself, there are some requirements that you have to follow. Most people are going to have a significant other, like a spouse, but there are some scenarios, for example, depending on what pension option you take. And one thing I'm going to mention today is that there are 7 pension options that you have. 7. Most people think, I'm going to get my pension and I'm just going to collect it. Well, taking one option over another may not be the best thing for you and your family. And that's kind of what we're trying to explain to people is you got to have a plan. There's a scenario where I can make my daughter the beneficiary. So to kind of answer your question, Carla, there's so many different possibilities. The one thing that I would like to do with everyone I speak with is sit down with them and understand their situation. Because one scenario or one option over another may not be the best for everyone.
No, I thank you very much, Carla. Those that are watching, if you have questions throughout, drop a comment below so we can definitely engage you. We appreciate that because, hey, this is for you as well. This is all educational, important, valuable information for all of you. And if you have teachers that you know of, if you're watching us and there's other teachers that need to see this, please hit the share button. The more people we can help, the more reach we can have, we appreciate. So, Eric, do you want to go over that pension login information, that little sheet?
Yeah, I mean, I think, sure.
Over here, we'll start on the top.
Yeah, so we'll start at the top. So this document that I have and Sean's going to share is directly from the XYZs of Retirement book. So if you've ever gone to an XYZs of Retirement, or maybe you've heard of that, let's say you're a younger teacher, you've been teaching 10 years, and you hear one of your colleagues say, I'm going to a workshop done by NJEA, the most popular one I would say is probably the XYZs of Retirement. What they're going to do here is they're going to explain to you in about a 2 to 2.5 hour presentation how to retire, what options are out there, your health benefit options. I mean, they do a very, very thorough job of explaining every single thing that you could possibly come across. That's also sometimes a negative too. There's a lot of information there. A lot of the members that I speak with will do this probably twice, maybe even 3 times before they retire. What I'm showing you here, and this is actually from the most updated book, my firm, ABMM Financial, we were fortunate enough to actually go through the XYZs of Retirement. A person by the name of Michael Salerno from NJEA actually presented the XYZs to all the advisors who wanted to participate in the XYZs. They gave us just a tremendous amount of knowledge, and just they help us help the members understand the situations a little bit clearer. So, if there are questions that pop up that we don't know, we can call NJEA directly and we can ask them directly, hey, listen, I got a client. This is the situation. What can we do here? What is allowed? So that's just kind of a little bit of background of where I got this piece of information from. This is just how you log in. So if you've never logged in before to MBOS, MBOS is where your pension information is. So this is how the state, New Jersey State, the pension system, understands who you are. And typically what happens when you first start, you sit down in your HR department and they give you a stack of papers and they say, sign here, sign here, sign here. And all of a sudden you walk out and now you're a teacher in whatever school district you're in, and you're a part of the pension system. Currently, a lot of people don't realize this, but currently you are paying 7.5% of your salary goes into your pension. So 7.5% of your salary is going into your pension. So that's just something I always want to, make people aware of, because they always say, it's a lot of money, but I like to put a percentage down. So when you log in, the things you're going to need to know immediately, you need your social security number, and you're going to need your member ID number or retirement number. Now, most people have that number on their paychecks. Most districts, I say most, not all, but most districts put that on their paycheck for the members to take a look at. That's all you really need to do when you first want to log into MBOSS. You can just scroll it down a little bit more. Step 2 is just kind of how you sign in. It's pretty self-explanatory. They do a very good job just itemizing it out for yourself. It's not very difficult to obviously just go through each prompt. But when you're in MBOSS and you've actually got in, so if you go down one more page, Sean, this is your page. This is your personal statement page that you need to understand how this works. Sean, is there any way you can enlarge that at all?
This is
not really. Okay. So I'm gonna, if you take a look, there you go. So I put a little check mark, I think, on one of the most important tabs, but I'm just going to touch on real quick the designation of beneficiary, which is in that second column, second from the top. People, I can't stress this enough, that your beneficiaries have to be accurate. I always say this: anytime you have a life-changing event, a marriage, a divorce, a death, a birth, you need to verify and go through all your beneficiaries, just not on your pension, just on all your personal assets you may have. If you have a will, for example, you may want to update that as well. This is very, very important. I'm going through a situation currently with a member. He was a member, he was a friend, and he was a client. All three, and he passed. He passed on March 30th from the virus. So I'm dealing with this a little bit now. Making sure that beneficiaries are up to date is very, very important. It's very simple to do. Once you log in, this is what your screen's going to look like. You click designation of beneficiary, you're going to see it. Okay, you can. It's very simple to change it. It's not difficult at all. Okay. Another thing you may want to take a look at is if you're looking to take a pension loan. This is where you can get your information as well. That's becoming popular for some people also. You can definitely take a look at that. If you also need to purchase back service credit, you are on a maternity leave, you had separation of service for a few months for some reason, maybe you had a child, you were watching, an elderly parent, there's opportunities to potentially buy back some service time. So those are some things you want to take a look at. And those are things that we help people with. We do a lot of that stuff. We help a lot of people buy back some time. Sometimes it makes sense to buy back time. And there are some scenarios where I say to the client, you know what, it may not make the most sense. It just may not. One of the things too I like to mention is that you do have the ability to buy back service time through qualified retirement accounts. So a lot of people, when we sit down and we talk to them about, let's say, a 403B, you can use your 403B to purchase service time. Okay, so that becomes very popular for people. If you click on the personal benefit statement page, which is that little, where you see that little line that I've indicated, if you scroll down, Sean, this page is going to pop up for you. Now I'm going to start in the upper right hand corner with personal information. It says full name, member Jane, right? This is kind of just like I said, this comes from the XYZ's a retirement book, so this is kind of just a mock-up. This person happens to be in the PERS system. I would say most teachers, most people are in what's called TPAF. That's a teacher pension annuity fund. Okay, and I'm going to explain that in a second why that's important. I just mentioned that you're in the TPAF, not the PERS. Date of enrollment is very important here. I've dealt with some districts where people's their start date as an educator and their start date in the pension system are different. that's a problem. That means that you've been teaching. Let's say you start teaching September 1st. That's when most contracts begin in most districts. And all of a sudden, they don't put you into the pension system till October 1st. And you go through your career, and all of a sudden you realize that you don't have 25 years in, you have 24 years and 11 months in. Well, that's a problem. That means you don't have 1 month that you need to have your 25 years in. So make sure that your date of enrollment in the pension system is the same as your start date, okay? Make sure your date of birth is correct. Gender, obviously, you want to make sure that that's correct. Proof of age on file with division, that's a pretty simple thing now. What you want to do is you want to click that question mark, okay? When you click that question mark, they'll basically explain to you what you need to do. Most people are going to be sending some type of proof of date to the pension system. There's also an address on there that you can send that to. Some people are actually emailing it now as well. That's a pretty simple thing, but you do need to do that at some point to verify who you are. On the left-hand side, upper left-hand corner, this is going to be probably, in my opinion, the most important piece of this. Your pension service credit is the amount of time that you have in the pension system. Sean, can you just scroll up for 1 second, slightly, just a little bit? Great, thank you. So if you look at the top of his screen, it says information is as of 3/31/2013. Okay, the pension system updating their system is about 3 months behind. They're roughly 3 months behind. So if you look at this, your pension service credit typically is going to be slightly behind actuality. So you need to just make sure that that's accurate. Okay, so people don't freak out if you say, "Where's my last 3 months?" The system's, there's a little bit of a lag time there. Total employee contributions. This is what you've put into the system. This is how much you've actually spent out of your paychecks that have gone into the system. Okay. Net employee contributions after loans. I don't really want to touch too much on that. That does happen at times. Chapter 78, 20-year date. That's referring to the amount of money that you have to pay for health insurance. I would say the vast majority of people did not qualify that. People who are still educating right now, who are still teaching, which means you will be paying a portion of your health premiums when you do retire. Membership tier, very important. You have to understand that there are 5 tiers in the pension system. There are 5 tiers in the pension system, and that is something that a lot of people are not aware of. They get confused what the pension tier system is compared to how many years they have on their contract in their district. They are very, very different. The steps that you have in your contract in your district, meaning your pay scale, has nothing to do with your tier system. Your tier system is determined by the state depending on when your start date was. Okay? So your start date is extremely important to know. This is, in my opinion, probably the biggest thing that's going on right now. At least in my life, handling some estates and some affairs. Group life insurance. When you put together a plan and you're looking to do planning for people, you want to understand, is there a life insurance component a part of their financial situation? Right? Yes, you might have a retirement product like a 403b or a 401k or an IRA. Those are retirement products. What you put inside those retirement products can be different. Okay. What we try to do with our members is we try to do we like to say, do you have a retirement product or retirement plan? We're trying to create a plan for those members. And the life insurance is definitely a component of your plan. In this scenario, in the PERS system, you can actually pay for 2 more times your salary. I'm sorry, you can actually pay for 1.5 times your salary additional and get a total of 3. We're not necessarily looking at that for most teachers. Most teachers are in the TPAF system. Like I said, the TPAF pension system. This is where educators automatically get 1.5 times their salary. 1.5 times their salary from a life insurance standpoint, they qualify for. The state will pay their beneficiary 1.5 times their salary if they pass as an active member in the pension system, meaning you are teaching still, you're not collecting a pension. Most people are already paying for an additional 2 times their salary. It's called contributory. So you're going to see on the bottom, contributory and non-contributory. Non-contributory, automatically get 1.5. Contributory, and you can find this on your paycheck, okay, if you're not even sure if you're doing that, you get up to 2 times your salary. So you can actually collect, or your beneficiary would collect, if you were in the TPAF system, 3.5 times your salary. So your beneficiary is going to collect 3.5 times your salary if you are paying for the 2 extra times for contributory insurance. Okay, so that's very, very important to know. On the bottom here, you see estimated benefits. This just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what you could be looking at. Okay, it's an estimate. I don't necessarily like to spend a lot of time here with members because things do change, but it gives you at least a little bit of a ballpark. What we have and what I use with the members that I work with is we have retirement planning software. We call it RIP. It's Retirement Income Planner. And what that simply does is it's software that we sit down with a member and we explain to them what, based on all the numbers that you give me, it's going to spit out what your pension could look like depending on what option you take. Remember, there are 7 options that you can take. Okay. It's also going to estimate your Social Security. And we can also include your personal assets in there. So if you do have a 403B, for example, we can include that in your financial picture. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to determine, are you going to outlive your money? That's the biggest fear with people who are going to get close to retirement. Am I going to outlive my money? If I retire, am I going to have enough? I don't want to live with my, I don't want to live in my child's basement. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to do my own thing. That's always the biggest concern. And that's something that we can help you with, understanding where you are. A lot of people think they have an idea. I hear it all the time. I think I'm pretty good. Oh, I think I'm good and I am good are 2 different things. Very, very different things.
No, there's a lot of value here, and a lot of information, a lot of people on here. And again, if there's any questions that you need answers for, drop a comment with your questions. If you have it now, hashtag live, guys. Whoever's on right now, hashtag live. There's a bunch of you on. Now, please hit the share button. So those are our teachers in your network. We can actually help by having them get this information. Hashtag replay. Any questions you have, it'll pop up in a notification so that we can have those answers for you, because this is important information. I learned many things from Eric, and I learned some new things today just by our short conversation right here. So is there anything out there, guys? I mean, I have a bunch of you on. I appreciate each and every one of you.
I think one of the biggest things, Sean, too, is that we're all in this together, and you hear that on TV, right? But that's the reality of it. I mean, my wife's upstairs with my daughter. I have a daughter who's going to be 5 years old in July. She's going to kindergarten, right? My wife's working, I'm working, and we're all trying to do our best here. I mean, as a former educator, I know what the struggles were inside the classroom. When I had a class of 35 kids and I had students, I had a class of 35 students. Some were sitting on the radiators every day, literally. And I knew what that was like. I cannot imagine what now educators are dealing with, trying to do this online learning. And they're trying to, their child may be next, basically on the same table, across from them, trying to do their work. Every single educator that I've talked to literally has said, it's a challenge. And I've talked to superintendents, I've talked to other administrators, and everyone understands this is a huge challenge. And I know you may not have a lot of time to look at some of these things at this moment. If you do have some time, please reach out. I am working. I'm probably doing more work now than I ever have because more people are home. They're finding 20 minutes. They're finding those 30 minutes, to just kind of catch their breath and shoot out quick emails or get on a quick call. One of the things that I would recommend whether you want to work with me or you want to look at the NEA retirement program, is get an honest review of what you currently have. Get a review, because I hear this all the time. I got a financial advisor. That's great. What are you paying him? What's the fee that you're being charged? I hear this too. Oh, I have a Vanguard account. That's great, but again, what are the fees? What's going on in these accounts? And you have to understand that if you can save yourself a half a point on your money, a quarter point on your money, that is going to be an enormous amount of savings down the line. You have potentials to save, up to tens of thousands of dollars potentially just by making some adjustments to your plan. One thing that I'm focusing a lot with my clients right now is not so much changing so much in their account, but are you rebalancing your account? The market's gone down. We've had obviously a historical rise, and we've had a historical drop as well. So if you might have had an 80-20 allocation, meaning 80% of your money was in the stock market, 20% were in bonds. Well, now that might be 70-30. So if it's 70-30, is that kind of where you want to be right now? So these are some things. These are some of the topics, some of the discussions that I'm having with a lot of my clients. I'm talking to a lot of people also right now. If you're young and you're willing to take a little risk, and you're not afraid of the market, I have a lot of people who are actually increasing their contributions, increasing how much they're putting in. The reality is that most of us aren't going anywhere. We're not driving, right? If we're driving, it's very minimal. So we're not spending money on gas. We're not going out to lunch with our colleagues once a week. We're not going to happy hour on Friday. So you start adding those things up. Can you add another $50 to your contributions for the rest of the school year? And then come September, if you can't afford it, you make your adjustment down. These are the types of conversations that I'm having with a lot of my clients and educators that I work with.
No, I think the value you brought tons of value, Eric. Can you finish as far as any final thoughts you want to share with us, and then how do they get in contact with you for those that are in the Patterson Charter Education Association or any other districts?
Sure. The first thing is you have to understand that you have a retirement product if you have a 403b. It's not a retirement plan. Okay. Accumulating wealth is great. How you're going to disperse it, how you're going to use it, what are you going to use it for? Is it going to be solely for you and your spouse potentially? You want to leave it to your children? You want to leave a legacy behind? These are all things that you have to have a plan for. The one thing that I always find are people who don't have a plan, that's when issues arise. Whether it's because families, the reality is when you start getting money involved and people pass away, it becomes a strain on families. And I've seen it, and I've lived it, I've seen it, and it's not pretty. So making sure that those things are in place are always important. And sometimes it's hard to have that conversation with a 35-year-old who says, I got 30 more years to work. You do. You probably do. But the reality is if you create a plan now at 35, okay, it's going to give you more options down the road. And that's all I try to do with my clients. Give them as many options as they possibly can get, and then they can make that decision what they want to do. Okay, you don't want to tie yourself into one or two options because you didn't plan properly. That's the biggest mistake you can do. So, if you want to have a review done, an honest review of what's going on, you can certainly reach out to me. There's other people out there as well. But from an educator standpoint, I think I see things a little bit differently than a lot of other advisors. Like I said, I lived it. I know what it feels like. I know what Chapter 78 feels like. That was a big financial burden, and still is a financial burden on a lot of educators in the state of New Jersey. But feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is 201-704-2340. My email address is Eric, ERIC, .Lindstrom, LINDSTROM, @abmmfinancial.com. You can also check me out on Facebook. I do have a business page on Facebook. You can check that out as well. It's Eric Lindstrom, Financial Advisor. It's pretty simple to find. You're not going to have a lot of other Eric Lindstroms out there, at least that I've seen. But that's something that I'm here to help. I'm here to talk to you. I would say I'm probably taking about 5 to 7 calls a day right now. I have a lot of people who are just, listen, I have a spouse. I don't know what's going on in his 401k, his IRA. Can you at least, give me some guidance as well? Some things I can possibly talk to you about. I will say this though, at least for Sean's district, the Patterson Charter School, I've set up 2 workshops. I think Sean's going to send an email out to the staff. One has to deal with the CARES Act and how the CARES Act, which is that stimulus bill that was passed, how that affects your retirement account. And I'm also going to be doing a pension retirement plan workshop as well. It's probably the most popular workshop that I do right now for the members. It's what we did today was kind of an overview, a very, very quick little brief overview. The workshop that I'm running in Sean's district and every other district that I'm in is going to be, I think, pretty powerful. We have I have 17 Zoom workshops set up right now with different districts. And, people want to know what's going on. There's a lot of things that are happening right now. People are scared. People are unsure. And we just try to, give them a peace of mind and give them some clarity on some of the issues.
No, thank you, Carla, for sharing that. And Eric, I appreciate you dropping some major value for the members and for anyone that's out there that's involved in teaching with their MBOSS. And please, Eric, go back into the live and drop your contact information for those.
I will. I absolutely will.
On the replay and everything else. And guys, if you have any questions, hashtag replay and ask the question. We'll get your answers and we'll make sure you guys are in a better position. Yeah,
friend request me on Facebook as well. I'm very active on Facebook. I'm always checking it. I'm always trying to connect with other people, other professionals even. It's something that I'm really spending a lot of time the last 2-3 weeks doing. So I'm here to help. Thank you, Sean, very much for your time as well. Thanks, Amanda. Amanda and Carla, thank you very much.
Have an awesome day.
Take care.